This was Angus's Strongest Man 2023, the second time that I'd done this competition. I really enjoyed it. It's just down the road from me. And I felt in a much better place. So the first year I'd done this, it was my second competition only. It was my first opens level comp, straight after doing a novice comp. And this year I wanted to come back and podium. I'd already felt a couple of podiums before, so this was my time, this one. So yeah, 5 events. This first event, Axle. So I'd just gotten used to this this setup, used to the axle. Much improved from the first time I'd done it in the novice comp, and I'd been training pretty hard for it. It was in 60 seconds, I believe, max lift, floor to overhead. This was my final attempt. This was as high as I was going. 120 kilo on the axle. The first lift, the clean was fine. I've not even used switch grip yet. I'm double overhand, which is killer on lifting the axle. Double overhand, I got it to my tummy and just couldn't get the second clean. Second attempt, I got the clean to the rack position and could not lock out. Balance was off, so I was already pretty knackered by this point. I still had 20 seconds on the clock, so I went for it. I felt it was there and just needed to get that lockout. A clean to the rack and get that lockout. Here it comes up to the belt, into the rack, third attempt, boom, there it is. Very stable, very excited with that one. Had to throw it down. Second event, I had done this the year previous in this competition, Conan's wheel. It was still 300 kilo. I had trained better for it. I knew how it was going to feel, so I was a bit more comfortable with it. The warm-ups felt good, and I did get a little bit further than the year before. My conditioning could have been a little bit better on this, but either way, three turns and a half. Just over a half. There's the third turn, third rotation. 1, 2 segments, 3, and it's down. I think it's 2 more segments than what I got the year before, and it put me in pretty good placement as well. The silver dollar deadlift ladder. So every time you lift and put back down, so after every successful lift, they load another 20 kilo in, 10 kilo aside. So we starting this started at 280. Down, load, lift 300, load 320, 340, it was going really well, 360, and then I broke it. The right side clip falls off and they stop the time to fix the implement. I would have rather just lifted it here. I reckon I had good momentum and I could have got that last lift. Having to come off it and go back in again at the heaviest weight, I thought it might have helped, but I think I lost the momentum on it. I do go for the lift. Yeah, I just can't get it moving. I've actually improved my technique on that since, and I lift that slightly differently, so I reckon if I had another shot at it, it would go absolutely fine. I've done something similar in more recent comps. With that 360 just was not going at all. So final attempt, and it moves even less. Yeah, just lost all momentum on that. The farmer's carry. This just was not going well in training. I carried that weight reasonably okay in training. This is 130 kilo per hand, which was pretty heavy. And the knurling on this was just non-existent. But this was the worst bit. Dropped it right on top of my foot. It was brutal. I was in so much pain. Luckily I had a bit of adrenaline going at that time. It was farmers, 10 meters drop and turn into a duck walk. The duck walk was 200 kilo itself. which I had done before at the Scotland's qualifiers for with 2:37, I think it was. But I completed the farmers, and then that was it was done. So this dropped me down the points a little bit, but I did bring it back and salvage it on the last event. Stones, this is 120 clean over the bar, over the yoke, 140, this is the last event, clean, 160, I had loaded 160 before in training and in comp, so I knew that was going to go. I knew time was going to be important here as well, to keep my points up. And the 170, I believe this is the first time I've loaded the 170, possibly the second, but the 170, how this moved, I was absolutely determined this was going over the bar. I wanted to complete this run. Bear in mind my foot is like, feels like it's broken. Clean over, didn't even touch the bar, amazing. This actually made me, I couldn't, the next day after this comp, so I drove home after this comp. I didn't take my shoes off or my socks off until we got home. I did not want to see what was going on down there. It felt pretty horrible. Drove home, cut off the sock, didn't even take it off, cut it off. It was actually fine. There was no blood or anything. I hadn't broken the skin. It had, I believe, it went right across the bridge of all my toes, and they all felt broken. I could not put shoes on for 2 weeks. The day after that, I actually drove down to, no, it wasn't Surrey. Where did we go? York, just the side of York, I think we drove to. I had a broken foot. It certainly felt like a broken foot, and I was kind of out in flip-flops for ages. And I still wanted to compete that year. I wasn't quite done, but I couldn't do any moving events because of my foot, so I had to go very static, and I found a push-pull comp at the end of the year that I could train for, so I still kept strong, still kept pretty static, unfortunately, but it helped me still able to train with what was going on with the foot.